Hello and welcome to the Cillian Uitheachair segment of the weather report and one of many to come. This show is no doubt going to come under fire by the insecure little Leinster House leeches and their snowflake takes, but that's what this show does best. We persevere and deliver coverage and discourse about the most pressing issues. And actually, that's where I want to start today. Here are some of the headlines coming up. First off, Diarmuid O'Donovan survives 2 votes of confidence in his government, but his junior coalition partner let him down. Stay tuned in to hear my analysis. Insecure loser Uitheachair refuses to hand over party communications to the Electoral Commission officials. Who let it get this bad? Crime at an all-time low as justice is served to criminals on the streets. Is Valrus responsible?
Hello and welcome to the
Dylan Hello 20 forges screenshots after an awesome loss, disappointing many, himself excluded. Now, on the first topic of contention, Diarmuid O'Donovan has survived 2 votes of confidence. Confidence even. Gosh, English is difficult. So among the failed vote of confidence in Taoiseach Diarmuid O'Donovan, we had 2 leadership elections. One ousted Uitheachair, an insecure loser who refuses now to hand over party communications to the Electoral Commission. I reached out earlier today to 2 Sinn Féin deputies, and here's what Emily Winters had to say about the situation. She said, "Again, the Electoral Commission did what they needed to do after a vote of no confidence was held, and gave him many chances to lead the caucus so it could be used by the new leadership, but he continued to argue and stand his ground to no avail. He was forced to leave against his own accord." I also spoke concisely to Eamon McGrath, who was much more frank about the situation and told it like it was. He said, "Uitheachair is all around a questionable person. He's not fit to lead Sinn Féin even, and he lost control of the caucus, thus showing the skills he does not have. A leader who behind our backs negotiates deals with other parties without the caucus knowing a thing about what is happening. He is just a pure disgrace for the party." I did actually end up asking if he could disclose what kind of backdoor deals Uitheachair negotiated, to which Eamon directed me to Anglo Fusilier for further questions. I'm still awaiting details on this. To conclude, it seems Sinn Féin have a serious problem to tackle in their party, and that's reforming the party into an election machine, considering how deranged Uitheachair has made it. We can also take from this that Uitheachair is an insecure loser who can't even submit to Ireland's primary electoral authority. Goodness me, what a loser. The other leadership election was also interesting though, so it involved doctored screenshots and ultimately elected Lynette Ní Cotton as leader of the Labour Party. This is what Lynn had to say about the doctoring of images by her opponents. Dylan had any further idea on how to win. I have with me Lynn's opponent, ousted leader and the person at the centre of this all. Dylan, what's your take on this?
With all due respect, there is not one word to describe how idiotic and insecure you have to be to accuse someone of doctoring screenshots, and they weren't even the ones to try and doctor them. It's truly a shame, and it truly makes it shown what type of person you are.
You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm sorry, Dylan, but I've actually received the screenshots that you well, not you, perhaps your campaign team supposedly altered or edited.
Well, you just admitted that it was not me who altered screenshots.
Well, no, but it was your team actually. It was your campaign team who you later had to remove.
I actually know who it was. I actually know who did them.
You do. You know the person who's involved.
Yep, and it was not.
So you recognise that there were doctored images then sent out by distributed by members of your campaign.
I admitted that on national television.
Really?
There was
doctored screenshots and images. One of them, by the way, slandering Lynn and using words that she did not use. I'm going to have to source them actually, but they were pretty misleading, and they seem to set you up for good success in the party. So if these screenshots benefited you, do you not agree that it's pretty suspicious to have screenshots that benefit you distributed by members of your campaign? That's kind of suspicious, don't you think?
Well, I myself actually agree that if these screenshots gave me any competitive advantage, that it would be fair to sanction myself and other members and the people who distributed them. I myself never distributed the screenshots, and I myself was never affiliated by anyone who sent them. But the problem is, I would actually fully agree with any disciplinary action that was taken against myself or other members of the Labour Party who sent or made these screenshots. Because I agree with you, it was a
It was a disgrace. So just to be clear, we have you on record here saying you would agree with disciplinary action taken against you. You would agree with that.
Well, it was not me who made them, but obviously it was people who wanted me to win that made those screenshots. And therefore they're classed as my supporters, and therefore I must take action. I must take the guilt.
What action are you
and
going to take?
Well, I've cut my affiliation with anyone who ever sent them. With all
So
due
you've taken
respect.
action already.
Yes, but I agree with any disciplinary action taken against. See, I would agree about voting penalties because the doctored screenshots could have influenced who voted who. And it was not me who sent them, but of course they gave me an advantage. So I would agree that made the leadership election unfair in certain aspects.
Okay, that makes sense. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read out Lynn's quote in full, just so our viewers and yourself can get a full idea of what she thinks on this. She said, Dylan hadn't any further idea on how to win, so he decided to get his campaign to fake images from both RDMs and others in my campaign team. When it come out he'd faked images, he played dumb and acted like he had no clue. He just needs to learn to play fair. He put Labour in the shocking position it is now, and he refuses to see his huge loss. She went on to say that regardless, Dylan is a quote-unquote lovely guy, and that she appreciates what you did, but that it just quote-unquote wasn't enough. I have with me, so Dylan, now that you're here beside me, I just want to say, what do you make of Lynn's words?
Well, I'm not being funny. Lynette is a woman who resigned as Ceann Comhairle to run for Labour leadership. It is not my fault that other people decided to doctor screenshots. I do not have a mind controlling machine that can control people and decide their actions.
I think you should have. I think you should have been more disciplinarian with your campaign team, and it's evident, it's very much evident that you were not disciplined enough with them, hence the doctoring of screenshots, you know? So,
For one moment, the person who doctored these screenshots was never affiliated with my campaign team.
That's not true. They actually were affiliated with your campaign team. That's not true.
Well, I'm not the one who said that I don't have confidence in someone to become the leader of the Labour Party, and then appointed them as my deputy leader.
That's not true. She did have confidence in someone. Well, she didn't have confidence in Kamala to be leader of the Labour Party, but Kamala being in deputy leadership is not questionable. I mean, she's a pretty competent person. Would you not agree?
Well, if you publicly say that you do not have confidence in someone to lead a party, and then you put them into the party leadership, and the person who would lead the party if you're incapable of leading it, I find that hypocritical. You can say that you do not have confidence in someone
Deputy
to do
leadership
something.
is a completely different position to leadership. Also, I have to ask, look, this is what the viewers want to know, and this is what I want to know. Why did you not have a mind controlling machine? And if you had a mind controlling machine, would you have been elected leader?
Well, it's clear the Labour Party, or at least some of it, still had confidence in me. The mandate given to Lynette was only. Funnily enough, 2 votes were deducted from. Knows what the mandate actually was.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. Could you repeat yourself? 2 votes were deducted from where?
The leadership election itself.
From which
confirmed
team?
by the Electoral Commission.
From which team?
It was not released. It was not.
One could only assume it's the team who doctored screenshots, no?
Well, Cillian, you yourself supported Lynette.
Yes,
there's no way for you and me to be both unbiased.
Well, I don't think I'm unbiased. I'm very opinionated, actually, and I do think Lynn is a fantastic leader. Who, by the way, her deputy leader is also quite competent, and I think it's a bit disingenuous to try and say that Kamala is incompetent, or in some way it's hypocritical to have her as deputy leader. I mean, would you have appointed her deputy leader?
Well, I have full confidence in Lynette. I may not have agreed with the circumstances of her being elected as Labour leader, but Lynette is a bright leader who honestly has the skills to lead the Labour Party. But the thing is, Kamala has toppled 2 Labour leaders. She's toppled one Taoiseach, and she's spoken out against one government. It's clear that Kamala cannot serve anyone because it's clear that she can't shut up. It's clear that she always has to voice her opinions. And it's clear that she doesn't care what happens, and the only thing that she cares about is that she gets to have her say.
So
Because if
we have you on record here. She won't shut up and voice her opinions. Do you dislike the idea of? Sorry, my producer is talking. The earpiece is going off at the moment. Sorry, large echoes in my ear. So you do not like this idea of a minister voicing their opinions? That's upsetting to you,
no, the minister should voice their opinions, but ministers have to realise they serve a government. The government has collective responsibility.
right? And
In
you need
legislation, the government is established as a body with with the joint comparability.
right, right. Okay, so obviously you're upset with Kamala breaking that collective responsibility and then running for leader. Hence, you don't endorse her.
What I'm upset is that Kamala, she does not, if she does not care, she doesn't care. I'm trying to explain this now, but Kamala thing in public and she'll say something completely different.
Yeah,
She is two-faced.
right. Well, look, I guess I'm
Extremely.
just. It's difficult to swallow this opinion from you because you are a radical leftist. People find it very difficult to align with your views because the radical left are very upsetting to this country. So what else? I will ask this as well. I have segments coming up, right, about a lack of crime in Glasgow and the increase in justice being served. Who do you think is responsible for the I suppose historical spike in Garda activity? Who do you think is responsible? Wow,
Well, that's
wow.
completely lies. The Garda might have record activity, but the crime levels.
We have an idiot
I've
in
been
studio, Dylan. I'm very sorry. There's an
arms
idiot
for the
protester
past
here.
week. Well, I've
This
been
is
in
this
it,
is the radical left, by the way.
but
This is their
I've
strategy.
seen the crime level.
Look at this.
But the problem is, there is no record level of low crime. The amount there's car bombs right now going off left, right, and centre. There's gun crime going up left, right, and centre. The amount of illegal weapons on the streets of Glasgow is rising. Any attempt at saying that the crime level is dropping is an
Okay.
absolute lie.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't think that's true. I mean,
Quite
as a guard
literally.
myself, as a guard myself, someone who's been working on the front line with people like Chief Superintendent Tomas Uitheachair, um, crime has reduced. So, Dylan, look, if you want to conclude your views here, what is your opinion on the doctoring of images, which puts you in a better position to win Labour leadership? What's your take?
Well, not being funny, doctoring images. What is it saying? Doctoring images itself is a crime. It's a disgrace to whoever did it. And I've seen what people were doctoring these screenshots for. I confirmed on national television what they were saying. There was some making people say bad language. There was people making people saying slurs. But ultimately, the problem is, I do not have the mind controlling machine that lets people mind control, that
Okay,
I can
well,
control
you
people's
should have.
minds.
You should have. The radical left should obtain those mind controlling machines because us right wingers seem
Well,
to have
I'm
it.
not a left. Cillian, I'm not a radical left. I'm not
You
part of the
are.
radical left.
You are. You accept
I'm
money from
not.
the protester that just came in front of me right here. You accept funding from the Just Stop Oil price protester who just jumped in front of me there. Is that not true?
Oh, I'm a social conservative. I'm a
That's
social
not true.
conservative, Cillian, and
That's not true.
How do you know what is true and what isn't?
But I have the files in front of me if you want me to publish them. You have accepted up to €50,000 from the Just Stop Oil organisation. That's true.
Well, that is actually publicly true. I have a Just Stop Oil T-shirt underneath my suit right now, Cillian. I have
Yeah, that's true.
accepted €1,000,000 in expenses from them.
That's true. Right. Dylan, it's been lovely having you on here, and I've loved speaking
Of
to you.
course.
I do accept people from all sides of the political spectrum and all sides of every spectrum. So thanks for letting me have you on.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dylan Hello 20. Goodbye, Dylan. Right, so like I said earlier, crime is at an all-time low. Patrols are also at an all-time high. I've never actually witnessed this much activity in our frontline police force on Garda Síochána. Truly a sight to behold. So the real point of contention here remains the same, though. Who is responsible for Garda's patrol success? Many folks are claiming it is down to the Chief Superintendent, Tomás Uitheachair, but praise remains to be allocated to Valorist, our dear Commissioner. So I asked Facilio Quinley who he thought was responsible, and he only had this to say. He said, quote unquote, Garda's success doesn't seem to show much nowadays. So, to be honest, there's not one responsible. I also contacted on Taoiseach, who said the exact opposite. I'll continue his quote after the ad break.
Hey, Blackpink in your area, about to give you awesome live. Get it? Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life. Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life. Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life. Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life.
Lasting battery life.
Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life. Awesome screen, awesome camera, awesome screen, awesome camera, awesome screen, awesome camera, awesome screen, awesome camera, awesome camera, awesome screen, awesome camera, awesome screen, awesome camera, awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life.
Step right up and dazzle your senses with a box overflowing with all your cravings for just $5. The $5 Chalupa box on the Cravings value menu. Value that never ceases to amaze.
رصادا شارع البشر في ليغو سيتي إفادي بسراتي محتلي الهرية استخدم جهازون المفاجير المحمول أخي الدين بناء الجهاز المفاجير المحمول الجديد وانطلق إلى أنصار الأسد وتدمير الكفاري الجديد جميع الجهاز
So, sorry about the graphics there. Our producers are currently ripping ass. So what what I'm about to do here is I was talking about Garda activity, right? So we just had Dylan on, for those wondering, and fantastic interview, by the way. He did admit to receiving over 50,000 euros from Just Stop Oil. That was disgusting. The fact that our elected officials have to come onto the Cillian angle and admit to receiving money and being funded by protests. That's disgusting. So
I'm not an elected
before
official.
we go back, I asked Facilio Quinley who he thought was responsible, and I'll finish his quote here. He had this to say. He said, Garda's success doesn't show much nowadays, so there's not one person responsible. So that's quite a pessimistic approach from Facilio Quinley. So I contacted on Taoiseach Diarmuid O'Donovan, who said the exact opposite. His quote was long and boring, so I'm only going to quote the good sentence, which reads, I think I must commend the Garda Code Command for their incredible management of Ireland's policing force. That's true. That's factual. Can we get a fact check on that, producers? That's correct. That is absolutely correct. But it's not. I think they're both wrong. They're wrong. I think they're both wrong. The Cillian Angle and our staff tip our hat to Anglo Fusilier, by far the most competent in the service, and the person I believe to be responsible for its heights. So I think that settles the whole situation entirely. So to conclude, crime down, activity up. It's not Valorist. It's certainly not whoever else is in there. I don't even know. Tomás Uitheachair? No, it's not that guy. Crime up, crime down even, activity up, Anglo Fusilier. Thank you. So we actually have a rather, if our producers could bring him in, we have a rather special guest coming up. A weather report contributor, actually it is a weather report contributor, but also the Canadian Member of Parliament for Winnipeg. So, the Canadian Member of Parliament for Winnipeg. I'm so glad to be joined by him, by the way. He really is truly a fantastic guy. He is a contributor to our show. And having him on, Rain Thompson, Parliament for Winnipeg, and he is host of Rain Thompson tonight. So Weather Report contributor, Rain Thompson. Rain, can we get Rain in the studio, please? Rain.
Thanks, Cillian. Great to be here.
Rain, it is great to have you on the show. So there are loads of important questions to throw at you, Rain, because you're just loved. You're absolutely beloved. But I'm going to start with the first, perhaps most important one. So, Rain, what's the current status of the Canadian Parliament, and why should we keep faith in the government?
Well, we are in the greatest situation we have ever seen in our lifetime. We are in a difficult position. There is global degeneracy happening as we speak. There is stupid people taking over the country, every single corner of the world, and we, the people, need to fight against this kind of movement. There is degeneracy, and do not let that deter from the fact. We got people like Cyprus, we got people like Fossilia. These are the most moronic pieces of shit I have ever seen in this lifespan. And I apologize for saying expletives on a national
language.
We need to acknowledge the rhetoric we have to use against this people, Cillian. Here's the thing. When we, the people, voted in the SKP to go into Parliament, we went in there to rip ass. We went there to draw recognition to BOSU. We went in there to draw recognition to what is important for our society. And in order to do that, we need to continue support for Arthur MacLeod, Valorist, and myself, because these three geniuses, three stooges, if you will, are what will drive Canadian success.
That's true, Rain. That's absolutely objectively correct. Rain, so we had you on because you're an expert, but I also have to ask, as a politician, there have been numerous reports that you are currently live right now, running to your offices in Winnipeg. Is that true? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I am outside my office right now, actually, here in Winnipeg. You can hear dogs barking in the distance. You got the wind blowing. You got the sun shining. It's great. However, some people on the fake news media are saying that the Winnipeg weather is terrible. They're saying it's thunderstorms.
That's not true.
That is not true, and I agree. They are just trying to misalign people that they disagree with, and we cannot allow that to happen.
That's not true. That's not true. Rain, look, let's cut to the chase here. It's the radical left here, right? They've come on here saying that you are considered quite toxic. So I have to ask, why do you think people are so apprehensive with your views?
Well, that's because they're stupid, Cillian. They do not see. They just are unable to recognize what is the true issues of our country. We got people who are, we got opposition members of parliament proposing sandals bills and fisheries bills and other, completely useless stuff that we do not need. And we got an independent member of parliament from Edmonton. He is completely clueless. He's most likely sick in the head. We're not sure. We're currently running our own investigation here in the House of Commons regarding that. True. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out what illness he has here. And there are seagulls flying above me as we speak. And I'm not sure if that is being picked up right now, but there are indeed seagulls here, and they are reporting me. Oh, you're not hearing them, but there are indeed
we're not picking up the seagulls, unfortunately.
There's whales on the beaches, supporting me. I'm shaking their flippers right now. They're saying thank you, Ray.
There are reports that there are whales in the Canadian Parliament. Is that true?
That is true. There are whales. We're not talking obese people. We're talking actual whales. I'm shaking their flippers every now and then. They say, thank you, Rainstreamers. Thank you, SKP. You saved us. We support your maritime preservation. They are truly in support of what we stand for. And this is the kind of leadership we need to bring to Canada. And I swear these seagulls are going to poop all over me right now. They're swarming me. They're going to shit ass all over me. This is them showing their support. They saw those Taco Bell commercials earlier in this segment. And we will see them once again show patriotism, show leadership. And that's why I have to ask everyone watching this show right now, stand with me. Stand with global conservatism. Because that's the only way we can make this country great.
That is so true, Rain. That is so true. I have to say, sorry. I'm going to ask you one last question, Rain, because I think it's important we get your take on this. So we're seeing right now you're in a thunderstorm. Do you think that
Yes.
this is a good metaphor for Canadian politics?
No, because we are in the greatest calm we have ever seen. The opposition is the equivalent of a three-member opposition, three-member army, if you will. They are useless. They're led by a moron by the name of Polly Keith. He is a loser. Keith was always one of the stupidest Try Guys on that Try Guy segment on YouTube. And I'm going to say right now, Polly Keith is no better. Polly Queef, if I may. And I just would like to report to everyone here in public, that he uses Twitter for porn. Can you imagine that? How can you get more
Okay,
degenerate
okay,
than that?
okay.
He uses that. He
Okay.
uses Twitter for that. That is disgusting.
Thank you, Rain. Thank you, Rain. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. Member for Winnipeg. Thank you, Rain, so much
Thank
for your
you.
take. Thank you so much. It appears we've been joined by another protester in here. This is, of course, disguised Lucy O'Doblin. If my producers could remove her, please. She's disgusting and heavy, very heavy. I can feel the studio shaking as we speak. So, more to the point, we're going to move on to the next segment, right? We're going to move on to the next segment. So, I believe the producers want to roll the ad breaks after that usual segment, so if they would like to hit the ads now, thank you. Right, I've been misled grievously by people. So, we spoke today about an array of different issues, actually, the 2 leadership elections, etc., etc. And we spoke to Rain, member for Winnipeg, who was just a fantastic fighter for the Freedom Front, and he is the House Freedom Caucus leader, I believe. What a fantastic guy! I mean, leading the fight in Canada against the establishment. So we're going to move on to something a bit more heated, right? The vote of confidence in Diarmuid, and this is the last segment we have tonight. Like I said earlier, Diarmuid survives the second vote, but that's leading citizens to ask themselves, why did we hold the vote twice? Well, unfortunately, Diarmuid could not secure a majority the first time, and there's a reason why, by the way. James Aitkeson failed to control his caucus and had to remove a TD for the second vote. The TD in question? The botched, unelected idiot, Carl Emil Mannerheim. Carl, if you're listening, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're a loser. I was thinking about contacting James Aitkeson for a comment to make the segment longer, but due to him calling me a Viking, despite him being a unionist with no teeth, I decided to opt out of that. Folks, that's all we have time for tonight. I truly hope you've had a wonderful time this evening, and if you didn't, I sincerely hope you were mauled to death by a Sequatic campaigner. And before I leave, I just want to throw a bit of attention towards my good friend Tomas Uitheachair, who is airing Whittaker tomorrow at 9 p.m. Please tune in and listen to him, and I believe he has a special guest on that show as well. So thank you for listening.